No, you are not reading the title wrong. It is Total Drama, Pahkitew Island, My Way. Also, yes, we're back in the old background. But you might be wondering why Pahkitew before All-Stars. Well, it's very simple, and it's to fix up problems with the seasons. First off, All-Stars should have been last. If it was hyping at the fact of two generations of cast being brought together for one final season. That should have been the last season of the show. Second off, Pahkitew Island is an unforgivable, unredeemable mess of a season, and did not need its own cast. So instead, I'm having it take place before All-Stars, and as you can see, it's a Revenge of the Island cast. Now, here is something I'm going to say. This is acting as a second season for these guys. So in your head, think of it like these characters getting another shot. So some characters who made it in All-Stars but didn't deserve it, may have actually gotten decently far here. This is a hypothetical scenario. It's if I was running the entire show my way. Anyways, our cast, we have Stacy, the Dakota Zoid as we last saw her, B, Dawn, Sam, Brick, Anne-Maria, Mike, Joe, Scott, Zoe, Lightning, Cameron, Topher, Jasmine, and Sean. I really didn't bother changing up the order of the contestants here, because it wouldn't matter. Now, since I'm too lazy to remember their names, I'm just going to write them as I see the logo. So, our first team is the Confused Bears, which has Jasmine, Topher, Cameron, Joe, Scott, Stacy, Anne-Maria, and Brick. And our next team is the Floating Fish, which consists of Mike, Sean, Zoe, B, Sam, Dakota, Dawn, and Lightning. And our first challenge, just like in the original show, was cabin building. Mike was Manitoba for this episode. And the Confused Bears lose. And Jasmine, Topher, Cameron, Joe, and Scott vote for Stacy. Stacy votes for Scott, as Anne-Maria and Brick vote for Stacy. And just like last season, she didn't help with the challenge and lied about her ancestry. Important events. Brick is emerging as the de facto leader of his team, and Scott and Joe are too busy fighting each other to try and take over. Sean still has issues with Mike, though Mike is attempting to make up, and Jasmine and Sean are still a thing after some discussion of what went down last season. Challenge 2, the Greasy Obstacle Course, where again the Confused Bears lose. Mike was vetoed this episode. And here are the votes. Jasmine, Topher, Cameron, Anne-Maria, Joe, Scott, and Anne-Maria voted Joe, and Brick voted Anne-Maria. And Anne-Maria is eliminated. She tried to stay out of the challenge due to her beauty, and when she did actually try, she was distracted by veto. Important events. Might have spent a bit of time trying to make things right with Sean, which somehow works. Sean and Jasmine try to succeed in a relationship going. Sean convinces the rest of the team that they won't self-sabotage, but if they do lose, they'll get rid of Joe. And finally, Dawn has seen that Mel is going to try and take over Mike. Yes, I know I brought back Mel. For context, he's not a supervillain. His character is written that he wants the million and is willing to do anything to get it. Challenge 3, the balloon fight. The Floating Fish finally lose one. Here are the votes. Mike, Sean, Zoe, B, Sam, and Dakota vote Lightning, while Dawn votes Mike and Lightning votes B. And the elimination goes to Lightning. His strength caused the balloons to pop all over his team, and also Mal saying he's a threat due to what he can do based off strength alone. Important events, Mal is now completely taken over Mike, and Mal has decided to get rid of Dawn because she can see who's in control, and he has convinced the whole team that she is no good. Mal gets Sean's loyalty, and Topher decides to play good with Chris so he can gain confessionals to the allies. Challenge 4, Truth or Dare. The Floating Fish lose yet again. The votes, Mal, Sean, Zoe, B, Dakota, and Sam all vote for Dawn, but Dawn votes for Mal. And eliminated Dawn. Mal seen her as a threat. Important events. Sam and the Dakota Zoid have a night of bonding and start to realize that the Dakota Zoid When completely stable, she can revert back to human. Mal, seeing this, decides to form an alliance to get him farther in the game, and Topher finds footage of the agreement and decides to sabotage the next challenge to get Joe thrown off. Challenge 5. Oh, wait. Yeah, Mike was Chester this time. And Challenge 5 dogfights. Mike was Svetlana, and the losers, the Confused Bears. The votes: Jasmine, Topher, Cameron, Joe, Scott, Brick, Joe. And Joe is eliminated. She was already determined to be the loser to be the person to go home if their team lost. Topher decides to manipulate Brick to get everyone to vote for Scott. Mal sees the power that Topher has and wants him gone, but needs to wait till he doesn't have the power. Mal also wants to be gone due to his ability to stay under the radar, and Sam manages to get Dakota back to herself. Challenge 6, monkey fighting. He's Manitoba in this episode, but the floating fish lose. The votes: Mal, Sean, Zoe, B, Dakota. Sam and Dakota, B. And B is eliminated. Mal's great at sabotage, and with him being good at staying under the shadows, he wanted him gone now more than ever. Important events: Mike is fighting back against Mal. Topher and Brick convince everyone that no matter what happens next time, they need to vote off Scott. And Sam and Dakota work hard to make sure that Dakota's Zoid form doesn't come out. Challenge 7, key hunting. The Confused Bears lose. The votes: Jasmine, Topher, Cameron, Scott, Topher, and Brick, Scott. And Scott is eliminated. Despite the fact that Topher was the reason they lost, Topher convinced Brick to convince everyone else to vote off Scott. And the merge is here. But before we get to any challenges, important events. Topher decides to get rid of Brick now, since the teams are gone, he'll have no use for him. Jasmine and Sean reconnect. Mal and Zoe and Cameron come back as friends, and Mal deemed Cameron a threat due to him being smart and would possibly figure out he wasn't Mike. Sam and Dakota realize that they could control the Dakota Zoid to give them an edge in the game. Challenge 8, hide and seek. He's Chester. Oh yeah. In the key hunting episode, Mike tries to take back control. Whoops. Man, it's really hard to remember that. Challenge 8, hide and seek. Mal is Manitoba yet again, but Sean ends up winning it. Here are the votes: Jasmine, Dakota, Brick, Topher, Zoe, Dakota Zoid. Topher, Brick, Cameron, Dakota Zoid, but Mal, Sean, and Sam vote Brick, and Brick is eliminated. Topher lost use for him, so he convinced everyone else that he'd be too powerful to keep in the game for much longer. Important events: Mal and Topher's rivalry becomes more heated as Sam and Dakota become a more stronger couple. Challenge 9, the shake drinker. Chester's here, but Sam wins. And here are the votes: Jasmine and Dakota vote for Cameron. Zoe votes for Topher. Topher votes Mal. Cameron and Mal vote Topher. And Sean and Sam vote Cameron. And Cameron's eliminated. Reason: Mal convinced everyone except for him, Zoe and Topher, to vote for him because he knew he'd be able to figure out he would be Mike. And the reason why the others didn't vote for him, because it would be suspicious. Important events: Topher was now able to show Zoe that Mal is not Mike, who, speaking of which, is getting closer to taking back control of his mind. Sean and Jasmine see that Dakota can change between mutant and human and want her gone because she is a threat. Sam and Dakota see Mal as a threat and want him gone, and Mal wants Dakota gone if he can't get Topher. Challenge 10, Island Control, where both Topher and Mal win it, and Mike is here this time. The votes: Jasmine, Dakota, Jasmine, Zoe and Topher, Dakota, Mal and Sean, Dakota, Sam, Jasmine. And Dakota's eliminated. She was considered the biggest threat. Mike is back in control as Mal is no more for the season. Mike tries to convince Zoe that he's back in the driver's seat, and while she's hesitant to believe it, tells him about what went down down while he was out, and Topher makes an alliance with Sean and Jasmine to get Mike gone, and Sam is in despair and wants to be taken off the show. Challenge 11, the island terraforming. And Zoe wins it. Also, since we're portraying that Mike is truly in control, no personalities. Just him. And the universal vote is Sam. And Sam's off. He convinced everyone to vote him off because he was in despair. Topher's alliance is doing everything they can to make sure that Mike can't win while Zoe's trying to help Mike out. Challenge 12, animal hunting. Jasmine wins this one. And Jasmine, Mike, Zoe, Topher, Mike, Topher, and Sean, Mike. And now, my favorite character does not win a second season in a row, but he has an improvement. Topher and Sean and Jasmine had voted for him. The competitors are informed that the losers will be eliminated automatically, and hearing this news, Zoe decides to sabotage Topher. And so, Challenge 13, the Boney Island race. Topher is the lucky loser. Okay, just had to double check. Eliminated Topher because Zoe sabotaged him at every turn. Sean and Jasmine decide to stick together and split the money 50-50. Challenge 14, which is challenge making. Jasmine, where Zoe's the loser, and Sean and Jasmine work together and help each other to get ahead in the game, which leads to the finale of Jasmine versus Sean. Ladies and gentlemen, and the winner is Jasmine. Sean decided to be a gentleman and let Jasmine win the game. It's essentially another world tour. So until next time, I'll bid you a good west positioning of the sun, and also, yes, All Stars is coming next time.